better not have no plans tonight.
Movie time and it's feeling right.
You're looking for a love that lasts. You'll find it at Romancing the Podcast. Ooh, ooh, baby, you had me at hello. Ooh, I love you.
I know.
Ooh, ooh, baby, you're the wind beneath my wings. Ooh, I'll have what she's having.
Recording, because Mikey just said the craziest shit imaginable.
That's a real thing.
Mikey, I need you to say it again into a microphone.
The show Wives with Knives exists on Investigation Discovery, and it has like 20 seasons. And that's just knives. Yeah.
Just knives, no guns.
That's not nuns with guns.
No pills.
Nuns with guns can't be a thing, Mikey.
Or hope with some rope. You know, there's none of that. It's just wives with knives. Not even girlfriends.
They had to be married. It's in the title.
Investigation Discovery is like the only network I do miss from like regular cable.
Absolutely. Paige, I'm a little concerned that when Mikey first Googled MILF, he meant murders I'd like to fuck.
Hey, I'm still salty from Dahmer winning at the Golden Globes. We can't get into this right now. Anyway, thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
I'm Mikey Randolph, and robbery is not as sexy of a crime as murder.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to edit this, but my name is Todd Schlosser, and joining us today... Wait, we don't have a guest.
There's no guest.
What the fuck?
Joining us today is the movie
John Tucker Must Die.
And there's like no murder in this movie. And like, this is from an innocent error where like, I want the true crime. John Tucker Must Die.
Somebody posted last night in the Horror Virgin Facebook group that they thought someone should do a reboot of this as a horror movie, which honestly, here for it.
Love it.
So here for it. But also I was struck when watching this today at how similar it is to Mean Girls that only came out like a year before this. Should I go first because I picked it?
Yes, you absolutely should go first because you picked it. Those are the rules.
First of all, we have this film and a film that we have not covered on Horror Virgin yet, The Covenant, to thank for giving the world Gossip Girl. And you are all welcome.
Wait, really?
Yes.
I mean, I've never seen Gossip Girl,
I never
so I don't know.
watched Gossip Girl. It's a CW show. I know that.
Let's talk about it for a second because this is a thing. So,
yeah, why talk about the movie? I'm with you.
I mean, this will take me 2 seconds. I was too old for Gossip Girl.
Oh,
just
were you?
slightly. Just barely. I missed it. It came out when I was in college.
Well, if you were too old for Gossip Girl, I was like way old.
Yeah, you guys are way too old
So
for it.
I was on season 9 of Smallville. Like, we got to wrap this up.
I still don't know why you watched that show so long. I feel like the people on that show stopped watching that show before you did.
You youngins forget what television was like when I was in high school. There was no continuous plot on shows until Lost, which didn't start till I was in like a senior in high school. I watched Smallville. I was like, he's gonna fight Lex Luthor someday, and like that's would be and like 9 seasons. It took 9 seasons to get there.
9 seasons. And now the only podcast you listen to is a podcast recapping a show that went 7 seasons too long.
I think 9 seasons. I think he said it was 9 seasons, Paige.
I had a signed photograph of Kristen Cruick in my dorm room.
The guy who played Lex Luthor touched me once, so...
I've met that guy too.
He's pretty cool.
actually.
He was super nice, and I was an asshole to him, and I feel bad.
This would be a good story on that podcast because he like talks about stuff like he says he was an asshole back in the day too, and he's like,
I met him kind of back in the day, and he was kind of dickish, but in a way that most actors are. So I was kind of like, whatever. He's just a dude.
He's just an actor. When it was me, I was actually at an event in Metropolis, Illinois.
Oh, good Lord.
Because it was a Superman Day event, and he was going to be there. He was like the master of ceremonies of the event or whatever, and we were on the stage, and I was on the side, and I was like blocking his path up, and I did not realize he was behind me. And he like tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, "Can I get by you?" And I was like, "No, I've been waiting here." And he goes, "I have to get on stage." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
"Oh, you apologized?"
He was so nice about it, though. He was like, "But I have to like get on stage." He wasn't like an asshole, like, "Do you know who I am?" And then my friend David, who was like a huge Smallville fan, was like, "I hate you so much. You just embarrassed me in front of Lex Luthor.
In front of Lex
I
fucking
hate
Luthor.
you so much."
Okay, I'm sorry. Go back to Gossip Girl. I'm sorry. I bogarted this conversation.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gossip Girl. Okay, this movie comes out in 2006, the year I graduate high school.
Is Blake Lively in Gossip Girl?
Yes, she's not in either of these, although there are girls that look like her in both. Anyway, it's mostly the guys of Gossip Girl are in this and The Covenant, which both come out in 2006. And this is actually funny and holds up, although there are some toxic things that don't hold up in it and haven't aged well. Overall, I found this to be a very enjoyable movie experience today. The Covenant is so bonkers bad.
It's so bad.
It's so bad that you marvel at how many famous people are in it who have gone on to be successful actors. There's actually a double where Taylor Kitsch is in both this movie and The Covenant.
What?
Like, yes, it's crazy. So these two movies come out, they cast Penn Badgley, and then they cast Chase Crawford and a couple other people, and those two get all their friends in, where they're like, you should come in and read for this, or you should come in and read for that, and thus populates most of the cast of Gossip Girl for the next handful of years.
Okay.
Anyway, I picked this because I saw this in high school.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, this is my freshman year of college by the time this actually comes out.
Okay.
And I remembered thinking it was surprisingly funny back then. I find it even funnier now because there are parts of it that are not good and don't hold up and are unspeakably crass. But I do like it. I was struck by how similar the plot is to Mean Girls, which is a personal fave. And Mean Girls, if you watch it today, there are parts of Mean Girls that don't age well, but it's very much kind of the same structure of like, we're going to make over the new girl and try and get her in with the popular guy. Like, there's so many pieces of this that align with Mean Girls, but we get a very, very different movie out of it. And this is kind of a weird outlier of a movie. It's not really nice. It's not super romantic, although there's multiple relationships in it, but it's weirdly endured as kind of a cult classic. So like when people brought it up in the Horror Virgin group, I was like, hey, I'm funny, you should bring this up. And it has a ton of likes where people are like, yes, finally, because people weirdly love this movie. So I'm excited to talk about it. It had been a while since I had seen it. It was fun today.
Had you seen it before, Mikey?
I think I saw it back in the day, like Paige did, but I didn't remember a fucking thing about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Like basically I went into it fresh because the only thing I remember is I remember when he climbed on the balcony. That's it.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I remember when she was like in her underwear and he climbed the balcony from college. What a surprise.
I got to like 3/4 of the way through the movie and I was like, when does the thong happen? Because I was
Yeah,
like,
right.
that's the one thing I remember from this movie.
It's 90 minutes. It's kind of light and fluffy. Like it's a nice
Oh yeah.
palate cleanser.
It is.
Yeah.
Of a movie. Like we've done a lot of serious stuff lately, or like stuff we love too. So I was like, okay, this is like I watched it before we recorded last night, and then like the last 20 minutes today, and it was like very light and fluffy.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, controversial opinion.
Tell me everything.
I have a hot take for this movie.
Can't wait.
Technically, John was not exclusive with any of these women, and he was like kind of upfront about it.
He was not up front until the last one.
Right.
No, he never said that they were his girlfriend to either of them.
No, but he says, I can't have a girlfriend during basketball season, but if I could, it would be you.
But that's not saying you're my girlfriend.
Hey, Paige, can you give Mikey and me 1 second? Mikey, do you know you're talking into a microphone right now?
Yeah, this is a bad take.
I like having hot takes on this.
I'm just concerned because maybe we don't see him do this, but those girls clearly say that he'll say anything to get you to sleep with them. Like that's his MO.
That's his
Yeah.
MO.
Right. So you're saying innocent until proven guilty. Okay.
He's a very widely known MO as the movie bends over backwards to show you that everyone knows he sleeps around.
But I'm going to give you two things. One, yes, and it does confront that at the end where it's like, you guys all still go out with him even though you know. Like, it does talk to
It
people
does.
about that. However, these are also teenagers, not adults. I don't think you can hold them to the standard of adults being like, we have not confirmed this is exclusive. We might be having multiple sexual relationships at the time. Like, I don't think it's fair to apply those rules to high school where these are teenagers being told that they're the only one that he's seeing and would likely believe it. So I don't think we can give him a pass on this one.
I don't
I
think
think
we
he's
can
lying
either.
to people actively.
We have to hold him to post-high school standard, but not the women?
I think everyone should be upfront all the time. And he's actively lying to them and admits that he lies to people.
Yes.
Okay.
Actively admits that he lies.
I get it. I will say, though, even though he's kind of an asshole, he doesn't bully anyone, which was nice.
That's rare. I mean, we don't see it.
And he really rolls with the punches in a way that's enduring, I think.
He is oddly charming as he's being this like sort of crass, not great individual. Like he is a likable-ish character if you completely ignore what he's actually doing and only focus on what he's saying, right?
Well, I think he kind of has to be that way in order for the main character to kind of fall for him at a certain point.
Which,
okay, this is the problem that Todd and I were talking about before you got on the call, is that the movie just ends very suddenly.
Oh, it has an alternate ending that was filmed but not included. Yes.
Maybe shows any amount of growth from any character.
Because they all just are like, they all go to this party and they're like, well, no harm, no foul, right, everybody? And then they have like a song and then it ends and you're like, oh.
It is like they get to a point and the writer was like, okay, someone's going to be like, all right, well, you say something. And then it's up to our main character to deliver the thesis statement for the movie. Checks brain, there's nothing there. Okay, she's going to run over, grab some cake and throw it. We're all going to laugh. And then it's going to cut to the next day and everything's fine.
Yeah.
So there's two very important cuts that never make it into the final cut of the movie. Let's talk about them now, because
they pulled a Monty Python and just ended it with a food fight.
Well, no, there's a scene after the food fight. I mean, like, there is a scene after.
Yeah, but it's just John Tucker being like, look, I sleep around. And like, that's his big revelation.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to have a threesome. Is his big ending.
Well, it's honestly, there is a little bit of growth there because he is honest about it.
Yeah.
So like, it's a step in the right direction. Maybe he's polyamorous. I don't know.
Two pieces missing. First, I do think they cut away from it too fast, but in the birthday scene, when they're cheering, where they're like, what's wrong with sleeping with hot girls? He turns and looks at them like, what is wrong? Like, I'm right, you guys are wrong. Like, assholes, right? They mention in the scene after that it was a stripper cake, but we never see that at the party. That's because there's a missing scene where a stripper comes out of that cake.
No, I saw the two girls jump out of that cake. That's in the movie.
No. The girls with bikinis were out of the cake already. There's an additional one in the cake.
There were 3 women in that cake?
Yes.
How do you cook a cake with a woman in it?
Well, because the cake's not completely open. The cake, like, they throw it and it's
but
like...
if 3 women were in the cake, who made it?
I can't.
I'm so sorry.
I want you to go apologize to your mother right now, Mikey.
These are jokes.
I know.
It is a slightly longer scene where it is implied that he is actually not really changed, and I think that's part of why they cut it. Because in my headcanon, aside from the fact that he, air quotes, doesn't lie to those girls, he doesn't really change. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
But there is an additional scene at the very end of the movie that established that she ends up dating his brother, and that they end up together instead.
Gross.
And the director... Well, I mean, allegedly she never slept with his brother.
I
Yeah,
guess
she never
they...
slept with him.
Okay.
And then they talk about they're going to set her up or whatever at the end. Like, we're going to dress you up and make sure you guys get together. And she's like, no. And I was like, you should just kiss him or something at the end. I just need to...
So there was a
let's wrap
kiss
it up.
at the end.
Okay.
And the director cut it because she thought it would be better to establish that they're a rekindling of friendship and they're going to move on from there. But I think it leaves the movie a little vague because I remembered them getting together. And then when they don't, I was like, what? But whatever.
I mean, honestly, I feel like this is one of those near misses that you have in high school that you come back to, like, after college, and you're like, hey, are you single? Let's date. Let's see what's up.
Yeah. The one thing that I kind of would have liked a little bit more, and we only just get one throwaway line about it, is that it is established very briefly that she and the other girls will still hang out, even though they're from disparate cliques, and they're just going to be friends. I do think Mean Girls does this better.
Mean Girls is a better written film. This is like silly Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tina Fey didn't write this. Like, I get it.
Right.
Tina Fey's an amazing writer. This person did a fine job too. This is the first time I've seen this movie, and it's funny. It's not great, but like, I enjoyed watching it. Like, Mikey, I think you're right. It is sort of like low stakes.
Yep.
I don't really care if they get together. Like, whatever. Let's just see where it goes.
Yeah.
They actually also don't care if anyone gets together. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, literally, I laughed out loud when they were like about to give the thesis statement for the movie, and she's like, let's just have a food fight. We're all in this together. I was like, what are we doing? Like, this is so insane.
I feel like there are moments in this movie that I find like painfully funny, like from a writing perspective, but the movie as a whole, plot-wise and structure-wise, doesn't support how funny some of the dialogue is. And it's one of those things where it's like, man, like one more pass at this script.
Yeah.
And you would have had a second Mean Girls, I think. You know, the difference is you don't have the same level of acting, I think, going on in this, but like, it's pretty good for what it is what I'll say.
I mean, it feels like a slightly more modern She's All That. Like,
Yes.
those kind of makeover-ish type movies.
Although I do love She's All That.
Well, yeah, I know, but She's All That was like, I don't know, 8 years before this. It's late 90s,
Yes.
right? This is like mid 2000s. So like, it's
Yeah.
slightly more modern, but that's about it. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm so here for those movies because they are sort of low
Yeah.
stakes and sort of just like have fun. Let's watch shenanigans.
Yeah, I think the other one we have to do that's kind of like this that I haven't seen in probably 20 years is Win a Date with Tad Hamilton.
You've mentioned that one before. I haven't seen it.
I think we're almost ready for Not Another Teen Movie.
Yes, I
Oh,
love Not Another
shit.
Teen Movie.
We could make it our 150th. That's coming up.
Well, if we're going to do Not Another Teen Movie, we have to do Varsity Blues before that.
How have we not done Varsity Blues?
We haven't done a ton of high school.
That's true. We haven't touched John Hughes. I mean, trust me, those movies be problematic, but
But
Oh,
they would
yeah.
be good episodes.
yeah.
Well, it's your pick next, Mikey.
Well, I have one more Angel film to do.
Damn it. God damn you, Mikey, to hell.
My friends requested actual angels and not angels that were people. I can't just fail to deliver.
I
are
didn't
these
request
friends
it.
that are
No
requesting
one
these things?
requested it.
This will be my last angel pick for a while.
Okay, fine.
Do you guys want to like just go through the tight 90 minutes of bullshit that this film?
Hey, I appreciate a tight 90, man.
I do too.
When I saw that this was 90 minutes, I was like, yes.
I mean, we've done a lot of 2 hour or 2 hour plus
Ugh.
movies recently. So,
Also-
yeah.
John Tucker's fucking loaded.
Dude, he has so much money.
Like they say he's rich, but he's like richer than your rich friend from school.
He's got all that money from the desperate housewife he's been sleeping with.
I think that's a plot point on Desperate Housewives. Yeah.
Yeah, he was with Eva Longoria.
Oh, yeah?
First off, they call it a Jeep. It's a Land Rover.
Oh, I didn't notice. I don't car.
I noticed because it's like product placement. I was like, that doesn't look like a Wrangler. And I was like, oh, because it's a Land Rover.
Oh, Land Rover?
But like people say the word Jeep colloquially about those types of vehicles.
Yeah.
So like I get it. But yeah, you're right. It's not a Jeep Wrangler or anything.
Then he's got a yacht
A yacht.
Yeah.
and a very expensive birthday party.
Oh, you mean where they hire like a live band and have like a huge like venue set up for it? Yeah, that's nuts.
And he takes girls on weird ass expensive dates, like way into relationship land.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not taking you to fancy dinner unless like,
Oh my God. This is Christian Grey's origin story. Which also, we got to talk about how you thought Penn Badgley
He
was
looks
Jamie
like-
Dornan.
No.
They look nothing
He
alike.
does not. Also, that photo you sent us of him in this movie was the worst photo I've ever seen of him ever. I'm like, he's actually like, doesn't look like Gollum, but in this photo, he sort of looks Gollum.
It's the haircut. This is a
Yeah.
bad cut for him. It makes it.
does
ooh.
him and his brother ever have a conversation in the whole film?
I don't think they were on set together ever.
They have one conversation where he's asking him to basically like spy on her. He is also, because I just checked this, I was like trying to remember, Easy A, which comes out 4 years after this, he also plays the love interest in Easy A as a high schooler, but Gossip Girl version where he's got the shorter hair and he's like all buff and shit. Most of the people in this movie are not close to teenagers.
No.
So like,
No. One, they don't act like teenagers. They don't look like teenagers. Like Brittany Snow straight up looks about the same age as her mom the whole film.
they're 14 years apart. I'll burn a fun fact. They're 14 years apart. Yeah. Well, she was in her early 20s when this was filming, as was pretty much everybody else,
Yeah.
including Ashanti, which, by the way, this is the time period in which Ashanti was in a bunch of movies. Bring it back. Put her in more stuff.
I don't know who Ashanti is, and I've never
Todd!
seen her in anything, but I thought she was fine in this movie.
Todd.
Ma'am.
Ashanti was one of the biggest musical artists of this time.
I'm having deja vu. I'm pretty sure we've had this exact same conversation.
No, it was Christina Milian. We were talking about Christina Milian, who was famous at the same time. Todd.
But this time I was like touring with a rock band.
Yeah, okay, but like...
I wasn't paying attention to what was happening on Disney.
No, not on Disney. On Billboard. On just like regular pop music.
But this is back in like the early 2000s, late 90s when like rock was like, fuck pop music.
I guess, but she still played every single day on our pop music station in Los Angeles because the song she did with Fat Joe is still fucking famous and fucking fire. Like, that's how big of a star she was. 20 years later, people are like, we can't start Drive Time without Ashanti. So much more famous than Bubba Sparks.
I didn't even know who Bubba Sparks was, Paige.
I can't even talk about
I know,
that.
but
Yeah.
like Bubba Sparks, I don't see how you missed it, but I guess Ashanti, I have no idea how you missed it.
Todd, she had a very famous song about boats called Ashanti.
No.
You ass. I love you so much.
It's like a sea shanty, Paige.
Yeah.
I know, and I hate it. For my own sanity, like 2 seconds of her most famous song from quite a long time ago. If you have not heard this song, I don't know where you were during this time.
This song is What's Love? ?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard this song.
Thank goodness. Because if you had never heard that song, I would have been like, Mikey Todd's an alien.
That song
He
was
not on
everywhere in
Earth.
college. Like I went to every house party that was playing in. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure I set up my drum set to that song many times at venues.
Probably, yeah. Okay. Now I feel better. Anyway, shall we get into this movie? Now that we have established that Todd has in fact heard of Ashanti, but just did not realize it was Ashanti. Okay, great.
We need to make
great,
him
great.
like house party playlist circa 2003.
Well, actually,
Oh, I have
100% do that.
I will.
But I would need the years like 2005 till 2011.
You mean my sorority and frat party years? I am
Yeah.
happy to accommodate you, sir.
But let's get into this episode. Let's just get into the movie so we can go through and scene by scene.
There's a lot of narration from Brittany Snow.
There is a lot of narration up top, scored by a soundtrack that I think I need because this was hands down my house party sound. Like the All-American Reject song that plays twice in this movie that was like their most famous one ever. It was everywhere during that time.
Oh, I mean, there's a ton of great bands in this. Like even OK Go, which was just like,
Okay Go is
Yeah.
in this. There was a thing around this time period of like covering songs.
Yeah, punk
So there's like a
covers.
handful of good covers.
Yeah.
But one of them specifically is the same cover of Cheap Trick from 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
just the same one.
yeah, I recognize it.
Anyway, so we open with Brittany Snow narrating, being like, I've been invisible forever. And I've always kind of been a loser because my mom has dated a million people. We've moved a million times. I've never had a chance to kind of establish myself anywhere so that people get to know the real me.
I'm sure Mikey hears this all the time in his therapy sessions. I'm invisible because my mother was bad.
I just zone out. Really.
How did that make you feel?
Really, you just like catch the last couple words. It's called active listening. You're like, oh, so you felt invisible?
I don't think I've ever heard someone say like active listening like it's a negative thing like you just did.
Oh, God. I will say, I feel like I hear similar stories like this from comedians all the time, where they were like, well, my parents were in the army. And you're like, aha, that's what broke you. Like, great. Nice tight five, sir.
So that's what broke them?
That's what broke you. Yeah.
Active listening, Mikey.
Yeah, see, you get it? That must have been a very enlightening reveal.
I love that right now therapists are like writing down phrases. They're like, ooh, I need these. I need these.
Disrespectful and churlish.
There's one time
Fucking love
where
churlish.
I want to paint this picture. This is like my funniest active listening story, okay?
Oh, God.
Well, I've got two, but one of them is appropriate for the podcast. So it's like a SWAT. It's like a barricade. A dude's got a gun. He's suicidal. He's talking to us on the phone.
Is this the one that is appropriate for the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's raining. The SWAT command truck didn't have cell phone service for some reason. So we had to all get out and we're all in this car. And it's like 5 guys,
Love Five Guys.
1 woman, and like 5 guys who are like my size
Right.
and burgers and fries. But we're all like my size. So it
Right.
was like we're packed in there, my arms around somebody. The dude up front, he's talking, he's like the primary negotiator. And then like the guy's like, I want to talk to the counselor. And I was like, oh. And so like I got on the phone with him, and then like he tells his story, and like it's all on speaker, like everybody can hear it because we're all trying really hard. We're taking notes, and like we're trying really hard to get the guy to come out safe and like save him.
Yeah.
And then like he like pauses after this long like story, and like they like all five of them like look at me, and I'm like, so you like really gave so much love in this relationship, and it didn't just get given back to you? And I like look around, and they're like, and he's like, that's exactly how I feel. And I was like,
Tell me that was a blind shot in the wind.
well, you're under a lot of pressure, and I was like, I'm gonna like word this. Like I worded it like a poem. Like I talk like a big idiot on this podcast. Like you believe it or not, under pressure, I can like really like
Dial it in.
get in there and therapy shit. And I was like, I like fucking nailed it. And he's like teared up, and like all the negotiators like, oh man, oh wow. And I was like, that's right. I was like, I active listen the shit out of that story. He even told us on the phone, he was like, I was planning to kill myself, but talking to you two like really helped me, and I decided to come out and get help. And
then you were like, and how does that make you feel? So it sounds like you want to get help.
No, I mean, like, you rarely hear, and I don't want to sound like I'm arrogant or toot my own horn or whatever, but you rarely hear people say like thank you during this process. Like,
right.
Everybody's looking, they're like, yeah, you like, and like the negotiator, he talked most of the time. I just kind of was like the backup of like what would happen after he came out, what kind of help we would get him, and I would like reassure him. And like just him thanking us was like it was a cool success story.
Nice. So what I'm hearing is you felt successful
yeah.
because people showed gratitude for your actions.
If we keep active listening to each other, we're never gonna get through this damn episode.
That's why we charge by the hour. It was like God's words out of my. It's nothing like how I've ever talked on a podcast before. And then, like, everybody in the car was like, holy shit.
Oh, my God, Mikey, why can't you do that here?
Because he spends all day sitting in vans being like, what is grief if not love persevering?
Oh, man. You guys are lucky Mikey wears himself out before he gets on the podcast.
I don't do this to do work stuff. I do this.
I do this to get my misogynist views out there.
Please know that he is joking when he says shit like that. Mikey, say that you're joking.
I'm always joking. I was raised by my mom, for God's sakes.
And you know what? I learned to drive so that she didn't kill us.
You're a way better driver than Ripley.
Mom. Holy shit. We have to get back into this movie, please. I don't even know where we are.
What are you talking about? We're like only 30 minutes in recording. We could go another 30 without talking about the movie if we wanted to.
We could, but we're not gonna, because Taylor Kitsch shows up at her house with brownies, and he's just like, my mom made me bring these. And then her mom comes out, Jenny McCarthy, and he's just like, I made these for you. Be careful because you're hot. I mean, the plate's hot. Like, immediately short circuits.
Yeah.
Because he had clear eyes, full plate of brownies.
Can't lose.
Honestly,
I do feel like if Jake showed up with clear eyes and a full plate of brownies, Paige, it'd be a good night for Jake.
I mean, I always like brownies, but also shows up where we live in the same house.
Yeah.
Be like, where did you cook these? I was standing next to you this whole time.
I work in the living room that is also connected to the kitchen.
I Uber Eats these brownies for you.
They were $70 plus tip.
Wait, whose Uber Eats account did you use?
Yours.
Damn it.
But it's a surprise. What's mine is yours. We're married.
I mean, when it comes to brownies, yes. He actually did make brownies a couple days ago. They were delicious.
They always are.
Anyway, so this is where we see that, like, her mom is hot, and she kind of details the revolving door of boyfriends that her mother has had.
You mean Skips?
Skips. Being a single mom is hard. Like, hey, dating as a single mom, single parent.
I've dated some single moms.
How you doing, Skip?
Just because I left in the middle of the night because her house was hot like a lizard.
No, she was not a single mom, but she was into older dudes.
She may have laid those eggs. I don't know.
One like opened up and tried to jump on my face, and I had to get out of there.
Mikey laid with a species.
Her house was so hot. I just hated it so much.
She was trying to put her tongue through the back of my head. I had to get out.
I hated that experience. I look at young Mikey. I'm just like, bro, you could just leave. You could have left.
Hang on one second. You had a chance to talk to your young Mikey self, and that's the message you sent? Not like invest in Bitcoin and then get out in 2020?
No, I didn't get to actually talk to young Mikey. If I did,
okay.
hopefully, I think things would be better. But I'm doing okay. Whatever.
For this bit, I don't understand what metaphor is.
I like that.
I don't know. What would you say to your young self? If you had one sentence to say to your young self.
How young? I'd have to know what year because I'm going to have to do some investment research.
Let's say 16. You can go talk to your 16-year-old self. You have one sentence.
Fuck, he's not going to listen to bullshit that I say.
Fuck.
I'd have to active listen because I was very depressed at that time. And then I'd finally be my own therapist. And I think that's really where I come full circle.
The sentence would just be like, so I'm hearing that you're upset, and sometimes that can be overwhelming.
I'll be honest with you. If I got to go back to my 16-year-old self, I would be very pissed at whoever was offering me that. Because if I could go back 1 year earlier, I could save my brother. So like 16 would be very mean.
6-year-old Mikey would be like, what the fuck happened to you, bro? And I'd be like, bro, we still have an Xbox. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Reagan really fucked our generation, bro.
Yep.
That's not what he was talking about. He's like, you're not even tan? I'm like, no.
You're
And
not even tan?
I put the gold chain away.
Oh, my 16-year-old self would be mad that I wasn't skinny, but I'd just be like, we have money and a hot husband, and plus-size clothes are going to get a lot cooler. Deuces,
Yeah.
bye! Anyway, so she also reveals her mom's coping mechanism for when these men leave, and it is eating frosting out of a can. And yes, girl, do what you need to do. We've all eaten frosting out of a can, correct?
100%. 16-year-old Mikey definitely did that.
Damn straight, damn straight.
What was your favorite frosting out of a can?
Funfetti.
Funfetti. You need to do funfetti.
Okay.
Funfetti, because it has the little colored chips in it.
Some texture. You like that texture.
I don't like icing. It's not for me. It's too sweet.
God, you skinny little fuck. I don't like cake icing. One of the best things that's ever existed on Earth.
So like the reason I don't like cake normally is because of the icing.
I just like the bread part of the cake. Yeah.
Well, I'm all about certain kinds of icing. There's some icing I'm not a fan of, but like canned grocery store icing all day long.
What's your favorite cake?
My favorite cake? I like funfetti cake. That tends to be my favorite.
Todd?
My favorite cake? Oh, dude, I don't like cake.
Get the fuck out of this place.
I mean, I would rather have brownies. Like, I will put down some brownies.
Not even like a German chocolate, Todd?
I don't like the coconut. So, like, red velvet is a cake I'll fuck with.
Because it's basically chocolate.
Yeah, but if it's like brownie central, I'm going to have a shitload of brownies.
Now, are you an edge brownie or a center brownie person?
I want all edges. If you can give me
That's
all
right.
edges,
Damn straight. Give me all the chewy edges.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
That's another area of my life. I enjoy the edging.
always.
Ooh.
Mikey, what's your favorite cake?
Fucking carrot cake.
Oh, I love carrot cake. We had carrot cake at my wedding as well. That was one of the 5 that we had.
Todd, have you ever been to Sperry's here?
No, but I'll go with you if you're asking.
They have the best carrot cake I've ever had in my entire life, and I've had some carrot cakes.
My mother once made what she called a no-bake carrot cake.
Nope.
And it was the grossest thing I've ever had in my life. There's a picture of me as a child, like laying on the ground laughing because we were just having so much fun making fun of it. So, like, I never had carrot cake until I went to the UK because I had that one experience and I was like, no, I don't fuck with that. And this lady would not let me leave her restaurant until we ate carrot cake.
That's me. I'd be like, try the fucking cake. I can't believe it.
We walked into like some famous carrot cake joint and just had their food and they were like, no, here's a piece of cake. And then we all ordered cake because it was great.
Yeah.
Carrot cake's delicious.
Yeah, carrot cake can be great. I just think you should bake it, I think is the secret.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100% you
All
should
cakes
bake it.
need to be baked. Yeah.
Welcome back to Romancing the Pod's best
Cake
cakes.
talk.
Well, Todd doesn't like it.
When I was living in my own apartment and very sad writing my vampire novel, I used to get a bunch of Teddy Grahams and a can of Funfetti frosting.
Hell yes,
And just like
girl. I have
adult
dipped
Dunkaroo it.
cinnamon Teddy Grahams into frosting.
Yes, I'd do it again. I might do it later tonight. You can't stop me. Yes. Anyway, back to this movie. So her mom eats chocolate icing by the spoonful.
That's back when I could eat a whole bag of pizza rolls at the same time.
Oh, hell yeah.
Young Mikey, could eat.
What's your frosting pick for a can of frosting if you're just eating?
Oh, it's funfetti.
Oh, yeah, funfetti. Okay, forever, yeah.
Yeah.
And specifically the one that has the chips in it, not now when they try to put the sprinkles on the top.
Yeah.
No.
You get your bullshit out of here, 2023 or whatever.
If you're interested, I like Ben and Jerry's New York Super Fudge chunk. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, okay. I
case.
like Ben and Jerry's.
You're like, I love gluten-free Ben and Jerry's chocolate.
Who cares? It's ice cream. There's usually not gluten in it. What are we doing?
I'm just making fun of Todd.
I mean, Ben and Jerry's is not healthier than eating frosting.
No, it's just cold frosting,
Yeah.
basically. Sometimes I've ordered ice cream cakes just to eat the cold frosting because I like it cold.
Yes, girl, yes.
There's an easier way to do that. Just buy the frosting and put it in the freezer.
It's not the same as the frosting you get in the store. I don't know why.
Paige, it's just like broccoli in a vegetable party platter tastes better.
I don't know what that's about.
That tastes better than broccoli you buy at a store and eat, like dip and ranch. It needs to be in the party platter to taste good. I don't know.
This has not been my experience.
That's a road I can't walk down with you, Mikey.
And something about it freezing,
Abandoned.
that their cold icing is amazing. I would scrape a cake clean. It's ridiculous.
What I need to do is buy a cookie cake and put it in the freezer.
Yes. And then invite me over to eat the cookie cake.
There you go. But it's got to have the buttercream on it, not the whipped topping. Because
Yes,
the whipped topping's
buttercream.
not as good cold. It is the buttercream. I'm glad we established this. Mikey, when we go to Kansas City, we'll just get frosting and Teddy Grahams and watch Demolition Man
I'm
or
gonna
something
give
else
Todd
again.
COVID again, and then just
I'll be
eat the
so
shit out of
pissed.
stuff. You better get your booster this time.
Oh, I'm going to. Hell yeah.
Mikey's been tongue fucking the frosting in the fridge. Should we make our own meal?
We saw science play out in Kansas City. My nose is stopped up and I'm tired, but I think it's sinus. Paige, you want to just stay up and talk all night?
Cut to me.
Man, I think they got COVID.
Anyway, back to this movie. Support for eating frosting by itself. Anyway, no awkward goodbyes because they're always moving. So she just doesn't establish herself. And we cut to her in high school where instead of being like, who are you? Somebody's like, are you a narc? Which I do think is hilarious. But this is where she introduces us to John Tucker, where she's like, this movie isn't even really about me. It's about that guy because he's the captain of the basketball team. He's rich and he's dating all these bitches, all of them.
He's dating the school. There's an aside where he's like, dude, I'm dating the poetry club.
The entire poetry
The
club.
whole club?
The most unrealistic thing about this is that, in my high school, if something happened in first period, everyone knew by sixth period.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but my school was small, so that made sense.
My school was big though.
My school was big and it was the same way. Yeah.
if he cheated on someone, they'd be like, "Did you hear about what happened?" I'd be like, "Oh my god, tell me."
Oh my God, tell me everything. Ashanti goes to this school. What?
Who's Ashanti?
Oh my god.
Todd, were you not in homeroom?
Yeah. They kind of do overly sexualize high schoolers in this film.
Oh, yeah.
So much.
And I know I'm old now because I was like, I feel weird about some of this.
Oh, you mean the guy wearing a thong and getting in his teacher's bed? You feel weird about that? What's weird about that, Mikey?
At least that was a mistake.
Yeah, that's true, I
Right.
suppose. Yeah.
But Brittany Snow's like, this is me in my underwear. And I'm like, I think you're 15 in this. I gotta I don't know.
She was not. She was definitely over the age of consent. However, that is my biggest complaint about this movie. And it's something that I think Mean Girl handles a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where, yes, there is sex happening in Mean Girls, but it's not necessarily as prevalent. And the reason it bothers me in this movie, because there's a lot of funny jokes around it, but they definitely slut shame Sophia Bush's character.
Yeah.
When it seems like she's not doing much that's different from anybody else.
I assumed that they were all sort of doing that.
Yeah, I think maybe the honor roll student girl maybe isn't because she doesn't participate in those conversations.
Fair.
But I assumed that Ashanti kind of was, or
Yeah.
whatever. Who knows? But it becomes a running joke that Sophia Bush is air quotes easy or air quotes a slut. And it is played for comedy, but it is not great. It's not great that they single her out for that, despite the fact that many of the jokes they make are kind of funny. And at a certain point, she starts making the jokes.
Yeah.
So you feel slightly better about it. But it's early 2000s and it's not awesome. The way that they talk about sex in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, I was in school around this time.
Yeah.
Same.
We did not talk to each other in good ways.
No, I said a lot of things that I am ashamed of now, for sure, in high school.
I mean, basically high school from like the 90s to like 2010 was
Yeah.
like a Call of Duty lobby on before party chat on Xbox. That's a
Man.
very specific reference, but like you'll know.
A lot of males our age, Mikey, are like nodding their head along with you, though, because like I was in those lobbies and I said some things that I am ashamed of.
Oh, for sure.
And you hear things that are worse. I mean, like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Like it's the advent of the internet. We're kind of the first
Oh, yeah.
generation of high schoolers to have it and have to try to manage it and whatever.
Yeah.
And so, like, as we kind of go through the different girls that he's dating, we've got the girl who runs the campus TV station and is also like running the school play and in a bunch of other clubs and whatever, which was like my high school analog for a while, where I was like class president and directing school play and taking a bunch of art and like writing the scripts for Spirit Week and shit. I was like,
Yeah.
I see you.
I was treasurer of Spanish Club until I was impeached.
What? How do you... Did you steal?
Not.
Oh, that is definitely a yes.
Someone gave me their dues, which were like $5. I may have bought lunch with it that day and then repaid it back like 3 weeks later. Okay.
Was the 3 weeks later after you were caught?
No, I remembered. I just don't remember things fast.
He remembered things slow, ladies.
Anyway, yeah, like I did not have a boyfriend. I definitely didn't date the most popular guy in school, but I saw a lot of me in her. Anyway, then we have Ashanti, the head cheerleader. We didn't have cheerleaders in my high school. Did you guys?
Yes.
Oh, okay. But basketball was our main sport because we didn't have a football team. So
I had a very large high school. So we had basketball, we had football, we had baseball.
Yeah, we had basketball cheerleaders and football cheerleaders.
We had
Really?
we had two different cheerleading teams.
Yeah.
And we had dance team.
Yep.
And then like color guard and
Yep.
like I tried to date all of them.
I tried to date all of them. Only a subsect would date me, though.
I was kind of like not good at anything back then. So I would like it was like a dog chasing a car, and then I caught it, and you're like, what's next? What are you supposed to do?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was trying to get into a good college, so I was doing like every extracurricular I could. So I was like playing sports and like doing all the stuff.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, I just got this like, whatever, you guys don't get me. I'm going to Los Angeles. And thus I did.
Same girl. I was like, I'm going to Starkville, Mississippi.
My graduating class was only 64 people. So like,
Mine was like 650.
Yeah, mine was, I think, just over 450, something like that.
yeah, so we just didn't have enough people to do a lot of this stuff
Yeah,
or
it makes
whatever. But my
sense.
best friend was homecoming queen, so there's that. So we also cut to her restaurant where she works, where she sees all these women come through. So she sees the TV girl, I think her name is Carrie, Ashanti, whose name escapes me because I just called her Ashanti in my notes, and then Beth, who is Sophia Bush.
Ashanti's name is Heather, if you care. I'm fine to call her Ashanti the whole time. I just happen to have IMDb up.
Heather, okay.
Yeah.
Beth, who is the teenage vegan, which veganism was newer at the time, at least as far as like in pop culture zeitgeist. I know it existed long before that.
Yeah,
but
really the turning point when culture turned bad. I get it.
For me, it was when that song came out, you know, I'm just a teenage vegan.
baby. So we cut to her restaurant where she actually sees him on multiple dates with all these girls. So she knows what's up. And then she talks to one of her fellow servers. And this is one of my favorite callbacks in the movie.
Yeah.
Because this server does the exposition of like, he always dates girls from different cliques. So they never talk to each other. And then he tells them that it has to be a secret. It's this whole thing. Thus introducing the song playing in the background, Dirty Little Secret. Fucking banger. Gonna go re-download it tonight.
Yeah.
And then later, when she comes back to the restaurant and we see that server again, it's very, very funny because it is implied that that server at one point dated John Tucker, and that's how she knows this.
Oh, and she's the one that points out where they are when they're on the boat, right? She's like crying
Yeah.
again. It's so,
And she drops like 3 plates of shrimp. It's really
it's
funny.
so funny. I mean, you sort of feel bad for her because she's going through a lot in
Sure.
this movie, but like it is comedic relief and it works. Like
It works.
A lot of the comedy works in this movie.
Yeah. We cut back to school where we watch him kind of make his way through the hall and say hi to all three of them at like 3 different bake sales, which
Yeah.
I found really funny. But she basically, our narrator, Brittany Snow, is like, no one anticipated the events of Black Tuesday, where John Tucker says hi to a gym teacher, a woman who is a gym teacher, and she has a heart attack.
Like legit dies.
Legit. Well, she's okay.
Yeah, I know,
but she's
like,
going to be out for a
She
bit.
like asses out right there. Like she's on the ground.
Yes. Yep. Which there was a guy at my high school who looked like John Tucker, who I think left a year or two before I graduated or whatever. But when he would walk the halls, I would just kind of like stare.
Mikey, there's no way Paige hasn't stalked him in the past 3 years.
Oh, I definitely tried to look him up on Facebook and I cannot find him anywhere.
He's in prison.
But I also heard after the fact some not nice things about him.
Imagine that. Someone super hot being super toxic at the time.
I believed it.
He's in prison.
So, because the gym teacher collapses, they all have to combine their gym class.
Yeah.
And that means all the girls end up kind of on the same team at volleyball. And it comes out that they are all dating John Tucker, and a fight ensues.
It's really just 3 girls. It's not every girl playing volleyball because our main character, Brittany
Yeah.
Snow, is also out there.
Right. And she keeps getting pelted in the face with volleyballs, and it's great.
Oh, and this is the most unfair detention I've ever seen in my life, where she's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what the shit? And they're like, you get detention. I'll be like, they attacked me.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and they keep cutting away to the goth girls just sitting there silently watching. And I was like, yes.
That is what we did.
But so they all get detention.
I pegged you more for a scene kid and less of a goth kid.
I was more of a scene kid, but that was more
Yeah.
college.
Okay, that's fair.
A little bit at the end of high school, but more college.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so she shows up early to detention where she meets Penn Badgley, who is singing Cheap Trick with headphones. And they kind of, strike up a conversation. He's like, oh, you're in my chemistry class. He's kind of the first person to take notice of her outside of the people hitting her with volleyballs, who even after she introduced herself, like, I'm Kate, they're like, who is she? Pam something? I don't know. Like, they don't care.
They are pretty terrible people.
Yeah, they're not great people. Most of the people in this movie, not great. Just like putting it out there.
What's interesting to me, though, Paige, is that, like, as they start to do this plan, they become like a really close-knit group of friends that you like sort of like
Yes.
are like cheering for, and then you realize that they also are doing something terrible. Like there was a
Yes.
part of me that forgot that they were doing this terrible thing to John Tucker because John Tucker also is terrible.
Right.
2 wrongs do not make a right, people.
Yeah, it's the same as Janice and Ian in Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Where we get the amazing name Army of Skanks. Like so like it's not much different.
But when Penn Badgley was like, who would lie just to get someone to love them? Like saying that to her, like, you did the same thing my brother does.
Yeah.
I literally was like, oh shit. He's
well, that's kind of what her
right.
mom was saying
Yeah.
too, because her mom makes the point of like, I may make mistakes, but I would never deliberately try to hurt someone
Shit, yeah,
like
that's-
this.
Yeah.
Which is true. I do like that the movie in the third act comes around and is like, hey, funny though this was for us all to watch, this was really shitty of you. This is an indictment of you and your behavior.
Yeah.
Like, you were not great. Anyway, so she finds out that he is John Tucker's brother, but they kind of strike up a friendship. They talk for a little bit and then he leaves so that she can have detention. And all of the girls compare notes, because they have all confronted John throughout the day to be like, some other girl said she was dating you. And he was like, I would never. She's just jealous. I can't even believe that someone would say that. And I do love that in the background of this, we get his friend Tommy, the school mascot, eating popcorn out of the mascot head.
Yes.
Like every once in a while, it cuts to Tommy in the background and it's hysterical to me. It's
Yeah.
so funny. Anyway, they realize he said the same thing to all of them. So Brittany Snow is just like, why are you guys fighting with each other? Like, he was a dick to all of you. And he did all of these things to avoid you guys finding each other. Like, he has no intention of stopping this. This is his MO.
Yeah, this is what he does.
Yeah, because his name was really John Fucker.
Must die. So at this point, she's like, if it was me, they're like, we know you'd break up with him. She's like, no, I'd get even. And this is definitely a reflection of her frustration with her mother's relationships. Like,
Yes.
this is her with some unresolved trauma, making it other people's problem. It's not good.
Yeah.
She's not doing the work on the inside. Anyway, at this point, there is a really terrible, funny line from Sophia Bush where she's like, Again, who are you? Anyway, are you the girl that went to rehab? No. Bulimia? No. Fat camp? No. Because those are the things that would get you sent away from school at this time period. That and pregnancy, if you got pregnant at school.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, my name is, and like before she can even answer, they just like cut away. Like no one ever lets her answer what her name is for like the first act of this movie.
Yeah. They're pretty terrible to her.
Yes. So we cut to her house where her mom is about to go on a date with what she terms a dog nurse, but a vet tech, basically. And on the way out the door, her mom's like, you've got a friend at the door. And all three girls show up and they're like, you're right. We want to kill John Tucker, which honestly, if they murdered him, way more interesting movie.
Yeah, that's a dark comedy I'm there for, you know?
I'm here for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they meet up the next day at school in the learning center. And my favorite is Ashanti walking in and going, learning center? Who knew this was here? In a school? What is this? But this basically is the overachiever girl has like cordoned off an office for herself in the computer lab is essentially what it is.
Yeah.
And has created a PowerPoint for them to go through, like, what are we going to do to John Tucker? Like, why did we all fall for him? What do we do? And they decide that in order to break him, they have to make him undateable.
Because we all date stupid people. It's how we learn not to date stupid people, hopefully.
I mean, that's fair. That is fair. But this is their plan, make him undateable. And so they talk him into doing a modeling shoot and then use that modeling shoot in a VD ad, basically a herpes ad that plays at the local movie theater, that he then goes to see a movie, witnesses the ad.
I thought it was a pretty good prank, honestly.
It is a pretty good prank.
It's like, it's mean, but like, that's solid. That's solid prank work, guys.
I had a friend who, I mean, in Hollywood, people take whatever acting roles they can get.
Oh, yeah. Understandable.
I had a friend who was in a commercial very similar to this about getting tested, and we found it online. And he, at that point, it was years in the past. Like, it
Yeah.
had been forever ago.
So it had cleared up, is what you're saying? He was fine now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So every once in a while, we used to just like text it to him. Just like, hey, bro, just checking in on you. But he comes out of it where it's almost like everything they do to this guy, he's Teflon and it just bounces off because he gets an award for being like a sensitive student.
Yes.
Or whatever, and bringing this problem to light. And if you look at the other kids on the stages he's accepting the award, they all have just like crazy makeup cold sores. It's really insensitive and terrible, but it made me laugh too hard. Anyway, I do love that they cut to two girls in the audience signing to each other, and one's like, did we just give him an award for having herpes? And the other girl's like, no, it's for having the clap. Like nobody believes he doesn't have it, but they're just like, give him an award. It's wild.
I mean, say what you will about John Tucker, but he knows how to like pivot in a crisis situation.
Yeah.
Like there's no way he's not going to be president one day. And we're all going to be wearing thongs.
Yep.
Cisco's going to be a billionaire.
Oh my God.
Yes. But
I don't want to wear a thong.
have you ever worn one though?
I mean, he might be right, Mikey. I've never tried it.
You have to get the right one for sure.
Oh, I believe it.
But they can be very comfortable. Anyway,
Cool.
they're like, well, that backfired. And so they're like planning at her house. And this is where we see one of the first instances of Diet Coke product placement, which is in like a dozen or more scenes of this film. Like it's the biggest product placement in the movie, and it is so conspicuously placed, label out. It's everywhere in this movie.
Okay.
It is wild.
I love Diet Coke.
Me too, and I started drinking it a few years before this movie came out. Like they get them young.
Yeah.
But so her mom comes home and she's like, what are you guys up to? And they're like, destroying a man. And she's just like, oh, fun. And then she's like, wait, really? Maybe this isn't a good idea.
Right.
Like,
I mean, but I can understand why she might think that that was a joke.
yeah. This is also where we reveal that Ashanti has stolen her mother's hormone replacement therapy pills to try and go up a cup size.
When she said her mom now looks like Bernie Mac, I laughed out loud, Paige.
It's terrible. This
It
is one
is
of those things that
terrible,
has
but, like-
aggressively not aged well.
Yeah.
It's a horrifyingly offensive joke
Yeah.
that is a perfect roast joke.
Yeah.
Because it immediately conjures a visual.
Yes.
Because like your brain cannot help mix Ashanti and Bernie Mac in that moment and go, oh dear. But this is also not great. It's also not how hormone replacement therapy works necessarily, because this is the next thing is they like put it in his protein powder, and thus begins a subsection of this movie built entirely on bullshit stereotypes.
And it's all like prank-based shit, right? Because now they're like giving him hormone replacements in his shakes.
Yeah, it's the Caltine bars of this movie.
Yes.
It's something to impact him physically. And it's implied, that it is messing with his emotions, which it can, especially if you're not taking a recommended dosage prescribed to you by a doctor.
Sure.
But it's also implied that it starts to give him gynomastica. And that's why
Not when your boobs hurt.
Yeah, that's when they start to grow and enlarge if you did not intend them to. And it can be very, very tender.
I'm so glad I got Mikey saying it's when your boobies hurt while chewing ice.
I'm sorry. Chewing ice is a bad habit. I apologize.
Hormones can make your boobies hurt. I'm one of those people on my Lady Moon times. My titties hurt like crazy.
I'm sorry about that. So that must be real frustrating when your boobies hurt like crazy.
Oh, good job, Todd.
Thank you.
It does be frustrating, yes.
Guys, I really like where we're going with this. We're setting good examples here. That's how you listen.
There you go. I am occasionally a stomach sleeper. So that's real brutal. You get up in the morning, you're just like, oh!
Todd, in a situation like this, you can do a minimal encourager, which is like, Paige.
Thank you. Thank you for informing me of the status of your titties.
Titties hurting must be really scary when it comes out of nowhere.
Not really. I mean, I have a calendar.
All right, we have to move on. Let's not give dates.
Anyway, so he is playing the game. He's distracted. His chest hurts. He has kind of an emotional outburst during the game and runs out.
Yeah.
We cut to the next day where all of his friends are like not high-fiving him and avoiding him, but all the girls are like, it's okay to cry. Like, you're so brave for crying at the game. And like, I have a peer counseling hot. Like, it completely backfires.
Of course it does, because now he is like
now you
this
wandered
super
into the Mikey
sensitive
game.
guy. Yeah, exactly, Mikey. Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, it is scary to cry,
Oh, I see how you use it for evil, Mikey.
Active listening
Is a powerful tool
uh-huh.
that needs to be used responsibly.
Like all tools, they can be used for good and evil.
Well, I like to call it good or awesome.
Interesting.
Drills are pretty awesome.
So what I hear you're saying is that you like doing things for evil sometimes.
With consent, yeah.
That's a summary.
I love that, like, people are getting master's level mental health training right now.
If you guys want to get out your emotion wheels, it'll help us active listen and identify emotions for our reflection.
There's a wheel?
I have a picture of it on my phone. I'm not even joking.
Can we spin it?
You can't spin it.
It's not a pick my emotion.
It's a jump to conclusions, Matt.
See, I assumed I'd be able to spin it and be like, you are depressed or you won $10,000.
No, it's like when I train. Yeah, that's it.
I wasn't joking. I have it on my phone. Like,
That's a lot of things on a wheel.
When I train first responders, I'll be like, tell us a little bit about your weekend. And they'll be like, the pool was closed and it, I couldn't go to the pool. And like, ugh. And I'm like, that's great. Class, what emotion do you think they felt when the pool was closed? And they would be like, bad. And I'm like, oh my God.
I would say sad.
Sad, frustrated.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you looking to, so you start in the center with a really general descriptor and then move outward to get more specific?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a thesaurus?
Sort of.
People are if you don't practice labeling emotions, people are very bad at it.
I am very bad at it. Yeah.
Some people just didn't come up in an environment where it was like, it's okay to be sad or angry. And some people don't know if they're mad or upset or sad. And they have to look at the wheel.
That's literally me. Yeah. That's why I have this on my phone and I use it. You saw how quickly I was able to pull it up?
It's usually a combo of like mad, sad, which translates to frustrated and overwhelmed.
Yeah.
There's lonely. There's like a lot of feeling words out there.
Yeah. It helps you boil them down to what you're actually feeling.
You must feel isolated in this relationship to work so hard and not get the same effort in return. That must be very isolating.
That felt very pointed.
Now you're therapying. The best part is when you date someone and you like talk like that, like, don't fucking therapize me.
At first, they're like, you know what? He really listens. And then at the end of the relationship, cut to 3 weeks later. How dare you use that on me?
Yeah, I'm like, it's just how I talk now. I'm so sorry. When people are upset, I active listen. It's just an automatic thing.
It's an automatic response.
I guess I am spoiled in that in my relationship, we're often like, are you feeling this way? No, you know what? I think it's more this and this because this happened to me today. It's not personal. I'm sorry if I was curt to you. Like,
Paige, I'm aware that healthy relationships exist in other places.
Yeah, they're just like foreign to Mikey and I a lot of times.
Yeah. I'm like, I've seen them on TV or whatever. Where I would just be like, I'm feeling sad about this thing that happened at work. I would say the specific thing and they're like, you should talk to someone about that. And I'm like, yeah. So you just want to sit here and watch TV in silence, I guess, while I'm sad?
yeah. So the girls love it. They're like, he cries. He's like Edward Cullen. Let's do it.
These are the reflections of a killer, Bella.
These are the thongs of a killer, Bella.
This is the active listening of a killer.
So I hear that you're nervous because I'm 118 years old and you are a teenager.
I almost forget that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in almost every vampire story. Anyway, so John Tucker turns around and dumps all 3 of them.
At once.
At once.
Yeah.
So they show up and they have like a little junk food party.
Junk food parties are the best parties.
Yeah, because a junk food party don't stop.
Because you're on a sugar high.
Yeah, until you pass out.
So you guys eat sweets to really cope with bad days, and it's really fun, and you guys feel better.
And it's like a connecting time for you and your friend group.
I'm sorry, I'm going to stop.
I prefer saltier snacks. It really depends on the time of the month for me. There are times when my hormones would make me crave sweeter snacks. I don't think it's an indicator of emotion, though. Mostly.
Why did you become that little girl who killed her whole colony?
We'll never know. I already closed the picture of the wheel. All right. So they're like, we need to break his heart. That's like, we have not succeeded. We need to make him fall in love with somebody so he knows how it feels when he was mean to us.
This is the next section of the movie that has moved on from like pranks to let's emotionally destroy this person.
These are the type of women I'm used to dating.
Yes, same. Although I will say, once I went to therapy, my dating life also got better. So Mikey, maybe like consider it.
I've been to it.
I mean, he goes every day. He's just on the other side of the chair. I would say this is a very young mentality. Like, I can definitely see teenage girls doing this.
I could as well, Paige. I get it.
And I think a lot of people grow out of it. But if you find adults still playing these games, run away. You will never have effective communication with that person.
I dated too many women that I heard say, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. And I was like, I guess that's true for like way too long. So like,
I was like, man, Marilyn Monroe, Rod and Idol.
I feel like you could easily adjust that phrase to be healthier and just be like, if you can't handle me at my worst, please communicate that to me because we may not be a good fit. Like, that's what the phrase should be.
Yeah. But like in their situations, they meant like, I'm going to cheat on you and that has to be okay, or this isn't going to work. And spoiler alert, it didn't work.
Todd, why don't you stop dating Jane Tucker?
Jane Tucker. Anyway, so they decide that they're going to make over Kate.
Yeah, they're going to she's all that her.
Which it's even very more minimal effort than it was then.
It's a t-shirt. They give her a shirt.
When she's on stage at the very end of this movie looking amazing, but she has the whole time. So she's like, this is the real me. I'm like, you look exactly the same as you did last night when you were pretending to be the hot girl.
Sweatshirt.
Yeah, like, what are we doing? You're still gorgeous, you idiot.
She's not really wearing makeup, or at least she is given the appearance of not wearing as much makeup as she has been.
Sure.
But it's so slight.
Yeah.
That like, It's hardly noticeable.
It reminds me of that Office meme of like they're the same picture. Like
Yeah, they're the
it's
same
the
picture,
same.
yeah.
You look the same.
It's the Spider-Man meme.
It is the Spider-Man meme. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because none of these movies in this period had the courage to cast people that are non-conventionally attractive.
They still don't do like.
They still don't do it. I mean, occasionally they'll do it. We get a dumpling every now and then. But back then, that was unheard of. They didn't even make clothes for us. It was like a whole thing.
But it's in She's All That. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's in She's All That where they like do the bet of like you can't make her the most popular girl in school, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So if they changed that character from being just like I forget who played her, but she was a beautiful woman. They just took
Rachel
off her
Lee
glasses.
Cook.
Yeah, Rachel Lee Cook. They just took her glasses off, took her out of ponytails. If they had cast someone who was like not stereotypically attractive, that would have been like an important big thing that just never happens ever.
That never happens because like it would have meant that they fall in love, like they truly connect.
Oh yeah, and people actually see them for who they are and not like the value their
Yes.
body provides. Yeah, but like that's not at all what these movies like portray at all.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm like, do you see that really hot blonde chick who just wears t-shirts? Like,
What if you got her to like do her hair or whatever?
yeah.
It's like that really problematic and toxic Taylor Swift song that's basically just like, she doesn't understand you like I do because she wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts, she's cheer captain and I'm on the bleachers. And it's like,
And if you're just wearing t-shirts without pants, you should be noticed.
unless you turn it into a t-shirt dress, in which case slay. But essentially in that song, it's this like, girl, don't go after the person who doesn't like you. Go after the people who like you.
Who's chasing you, Taylor Swift?
Who's chasing you, Taylor
chasing
Swift?
First off, everyone's chasing Taylor Swift. Let's not even pretend this song is for serious. Like, oh, no one noticed Taylor Swift in the bleachers. I'm like, every person knows.
No one noticed the rich girl with a guitar that grew up on a Christmas tree farm.
I mean, that part is where I like kind of get mixed in, where I'm like,
How much do you want to live on a Christmas tree farm, Mikey?
fucking, if I married a Christmas tree farm dynasty, like that would be my end game. Like Mikey retires from the podcast. Where'd he go? He married a woman. They own a Christmas tree farm.
owns a Christmas tree
Yeah,
farm?
yeah.
Well, see what happened was for Christmas, he went home from the big city to a small town and he
There
met
you
a
go.
lady
I
who was
do
just
live in the
struggling in the Christmas tree game because everyone switched to like plastic fake Christmas trees and he helped her turn the
know.
business around. They fell in love and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, they named their kid Spruce.
Spruce Randolph.
Spruce Randolph.
Bruce Randolph sounds like an Evil Dead Christmas movie.
Yes.
That's why he's got a chainsaw hand. Oh my God.
For cutting down them Christmas trees.
Also, her family was like really into investment banking as well, not just a Christmas tree farm. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
would also take a really rich person. That sounds nice as well.
Yeah, I don't think you'd kick Taylor Swift out of the bed.
Yeah, no. I mean, obviously, we run into each other around town. It's awkward because, like the timing's just never right.
Yeah, but you got to keep one of her scarves so she'll write like a 6-minute song about it and then you'll be famous.
I don't know if you know, a lot of the Taylor Swift breakup songs that came out around 2012 to 2016 were all about Mikey.
I don't know if you know, but Your Body is a Wonderland was written by Mikey.
Your body is an amusement park.
Your body is a Christmas tree. Wait, fuck.
I kind of wish an ex would write like a sick burn song about me. Wait, I don't wish that. I dated a singer. God dang it. It's probably out there already.
He gets winded when...
That was going to be a song about sex. The lines blur so much when we're just talking and when we're recording for the episode. Like, they blur so much. Like, this is going to be weird to edit.
Some of the stuff to say. I don't feel like I'm talking bad about anyone.
No.
It wasn't you, it was Spruce.
Yeah.
Spruce Randolph, his alter ego.
He's got a goatee.
Mikey's doppelganger, Spruce Randolph. It's specifically Christmas Mikey's doppelganger.
He hates Christmas.
Exactly,
Now
Mikey.
I have an axe. Ho, ho, ho. Anyway, so they add her to the cheerleading team and they just kick that other girl, Nancy,
That was
off.
hilarious.
I thought that was so funny, too. Dude, when they're like building the pyramid and they're talking about like, oh man, she's been trying to get up there for 3 years. And you see her like climbing up on top of that person that they have like demoted for her. And she's like, oh yeah, why shouldn't you get to the top of the pyramid? It's your first day or whatever. But like, while she's delivering that line very well, I might add, Brittany Snow is like smashing her head. Like she's like,
she's
really
stepping
trying to get on
directly
top
on
of her. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, but they make a pyramid, they fall.
Yeah.
Somehow they miraculously don't end up in the hospital, but we can't spend time on it.
No.
Because she and Ashanti go walking down the hallway to be like, it's all about attitude. And sure enough, John Connor notices and is like, she's cute. And she's like, yeah, well, she doesn't like high school boys. Bye.
Yeah, and of course, he's like, oh, someone who's unavailable? Now that's all I want.
Now it's all I want. Because he has unhealthy patterns too.
Because high school boys and college boys and just men in general are dumb.
Yeah,
Because
that's
we're dumb.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so at this point, they like meet up and she's like, oh my God, he called me cute. And they're like, no, it's not real. Oh my God. Anyway, we reveal that she has 0 dating experience.
Right. And they all thought, I guess, when she said I'd get even, they all assumed that she had a bunch of dating experience. But Brittany Murphy was just like talking about like the guys who had treated her mom bad. That was my vibe, at least.
Yeah, they thought she was talking about people who treated her badly, not her mom.
Right.
Regardless, they're like, you got to make him chase you. And so he catches up with her in the hallway and they tell her to like count to 3 before she speaks. And so you watch her counting and he's just like, hi, you must be new. I mean, like not new, but like new to cheer. Anyway, so like, do you want to go out Friday night? I mean, sure, that sounds terrible. Like it absolutely puts him on the defensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he asks her out and she's like, I think I'm busy. Nice to meet you. Bye. And just walks away. So meanwhile, she runs into his brother and his brother, I think, tries to ask her out here too, where he's like, there's a decent music scene. Like I could let you know when shows are. And I think she's about to be like, really? Okay. But no sooner does she that a ton of flowers show up and there's a PA announcement from her brother that's like, take down my number, bitch. Basically like.
Just to clarify, from his brother, not her brother.
Yeah,
that would
her
be
brother.
very
Yeah,
weird.
sorry.
She
Yeah,
doesn't have
his
a
brother John.
Yeah. But I also do think the guy from You was about to ask her out, but like does it because his brother like really makes it public that he's going after her, right?
Yeah. And this is where she meets up with the girls after the PA thing because they all heard it. And so they shoot the video that we see at the end of the movie where they're like, there's one guy for me and it's not you or whatever.
Yeah. And they sort of like goad her into doing that because she's never dated him. She doesn't really have anything against him personally. She doesn't like those type of guys, if that makes sense.
Right.
So like when she's like, you're not the guy for me, John, or whatever, like she's never dated him.
But we cut to John catching up with his brother and he's like, hey, she's your lab partner, right? And his brother is like, yeah, I don't think she's your type.
Right.
And he's like, any girl is my type. It doesn't fucking matter. And he's like, maybe you're not her type because she listens to podcasts, which I was like, oh my God, do you remember what podcasts were like in 2006?
I do, sadly.
It was just Serial.
No, Serial wasn't
hadn't
even
come
out
out yet, man. Podcasts were nothing in 2006, man.
Yeah. You could find them online as like truly a quote unquote internet radio station.
Yeah.
Or iTunes had just started offering the ability to post and host podcasts through iTunes because you did have iPods at the time.
Yeah.
But this is old iPod technology.
Yeah, I mean, technically, like, podcasts started as, like, audio blogs online, and that
Yes.
dates back to, like, the 80s, honestly.
Yeah.
But, like, a lot of that shit didn't get online until, like, the early 2000s. And, like, I don't think that, let me Google it, hang on. Yeah, the term podcast didn't come out until, like, 2004. So this is, like, brand new when this movie came out.
Exactly. Because prior to that, it was internet radio. And so he's like, she's listening to podcasts and music and whatever. And he's like, so what? I'm dating the Poetry Club, which is not the same thing. But I do think it's funny that he thinks that he's just like, duh.
He's like, I can be deep. I'm dating the whole Poetry Club. Like, that's not what that means.
Oh, and I bet they're awful to date.
What, poets?
Poetry Club.
Oh, you mean the whole club?
Well, any of them. If you meet somebody who's like really into poetry, it's basically like veganism.
I don't know. I like poetry.
Yeah, but that's not like your personality.
No, because I'm not good at it. But his brother catches up with Kate and is like, my brother asked me to spy on you and he told me not to tell you about it, but I'm telling you about it now. I think because he's like, fuck that guy. I'm still into you, like, or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like helping her with her bags and her books. But literally his brother just like swoops in and ruins it just immediately.
Yeah. I actually had a brother that was a similar age older than me. So like this kind of stuff would happen a little bit where we would like both have a crush on the same girl and we would like have to talk it out and figure out, okay, like how do we want to handle the situation? And we handled it pretty well, honestly.
So this hasn't really happened with me and my brother.
I didn't want to bring that up.
Turned out he was gay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So missed out on this, but
we literally had like a list of like girls and it was like I'd prefer you not try and date this girl, right? And he would be like, okay.
did you guys do like a draft at the beginning of the semester?
We called it the list, but there was never more than one girl on the list, if that makes sense. It was like the girl we had a crush on at that moment, really.
What I hear you saying is that you're backtracking.
What I'm hearing you saying is that that's how you managed your waiver wire.
Okay, now you're talking the league, and there's some truth to that. But like that brother died when I was 15, so like we never got to like later in high school where you're like really dating people.
Oh yeah. Motive. I hear this. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh my God.
what I'm hearing
Really?
you saying is that you got the first round draft pick after that.
Oh my God. You know there's no statute of limitations on jokes, right? Like,
And with Todd talking about his dead brother, I think, yes, I have bingo on my Romancing the Pod bingo card.
yeah.
No, you have. You just did.
Oh,
Yeah,
his
you guys have
shoulders the
already
free
talked-
space?
That's a
Got
free
it,
space.
got it,
babe.
got it.
Yeah. I do love how you making jokes about how I had the motive and means and opportunity to kill my brother classifies as me talking about it.
Well, you did bring it up first.
Well, I mean, I was just trying to place like how old I was at the time, but yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fair.
Uh-huh. I mean, I'm not saying you did it, but maybe you need to be ruled out. That's all I'm saying.
He did get ruled out. That's how he ended up in the street because there were no seatbelts in the back of that truck.
There were no seatbelts in the back of that truck.
He
You're
was
right.
unscathed, which is an interesting concept.
I was not unscathed. I still have scars.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure that was wildly painful.
I have on my face, I have scars and my hip and my elbow because that's where my body connected with the pavement after we hit the phone pole.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that Mikey is picturing this like a Kaiser Soze situation where you're going to walk away from this podcast and then suddenly don't have a limp. Yeah.
I've never had a limp, Mikey.
There's like a mug in the back of my Zoom call that just says Truxecutioner on it, and that's where that came from. Truxecutioner. Wait, that's where I went to college.
I went to truck you.
Oh, we gotta do Fired Up at some point.
We also need to do Maximum Overdrive.
And on Horror Virgin, we gotta do Maximum Overdrive.
I'm so triggered right now.
No, it's the best use of cocaine there ever was.
Hey, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 exists. Like, come on now. And the rest of the Phantasm movies. Anyway, back to this movie. So we cut to the game and she's like, I think I blew it because I ignored him and like he hasn't talked to me since. And he literally stops in the middle of the game to be like, go out with me. If you don't go out with me, I'm going to lose the game. And I love that the coach is just like, what are you doing? Shoot the ball. And he's like, hey, coach, wait. And he's like, I understand and respect your emotional needs. Very funny.
There are very funny portions of this movie.
Yeah. But he basically pressures her into a date, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, like The Notebook.
Yes, like The Notebook, the murder-suicide tale, The Notebook.
Uh-huh. I'm going to jump off of this carousel if you don't go out with me.
I forgot that that's how that plays out. Oh my God.
Yeah, if he wasn't Ryan Gosling, that shit would have not flown. So they put a camera in her bra, which is one of the least believable parts of this movie, that they're like, spy cam, we're gonna do a spy
Yeah,
cam
it's
on
so
your
weird.
titties.
I love that the spy cam just turns out that they're actually capturing the same footage the movie is.
Yes.
Because when they show that footage, you're like, that's not what the camera would have seen. That's like what
No.
they showed us.
That's like what the movie sees.
Yeah. That is like a level of lazy that I honestly aspire to.
Well, also the one of the few scenes that they show from the boob cam is from the boat when they didn't have service, so they couldn't capture the footage.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
They don't even have it. Anyway, but this is where they tell her, they're like, he's got an away game coming up and his birthday, and we think we will like enact our final pranks around that time.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, so I know how to do this. I'm playing hard to get. And they're like, no, you're got now. Cause like you're going on the date. So like now it's a whole different game. And so he asks her on a date to watch the sunset over the sea. She shows up and everyone knows her name, which I think is very, very funny. That like no one knew her before and everyone's like, hi, Kate, hi, Kate, let's be friends.
I mean, it's a very like strong juxtaposition to like 30 minutes ago in this movie when the other three main girls were like, who are you again?
Pam something?
Yeah.
But so his brother is also there, which is kind of a bummer because he has to watch all this happen, you know, or whatever.
So like for me, if my brother dated a girl in high school, like that, I could not, that's off limits to me. Like,
yeah.
If that makes sense. I couldn't. I felt bad for the guy from You, Penn,
Scott,
or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like, we shouldn't feel too bad because he's definitely going to murder her later, right?
No, but I think that this is where he develops that complex. Like, she's the one that got away because John ruined everything.
I have not seen You. Should I watch You?
Sure.
Yes.
It's fine.
Okay. Anyway, he's like, can I give you a ride home? And she's like, I'm going to pee, but I'll meet you at the car. So she gets to the car and is just like, I didn't prepare for this. What do I do? And Sophia Bush just like pops up in the window and is just like, hello. Like they clearly sent her to do the hookup stuff, which I found really funny. But she's like, if you like, we'll learn how to kiss. And it's just so they can have them kiss in the movie. Yeah. It is purely gratuitous.
It's their Cruel Intentions moment.
I honestly thought it was like gonna stop at some point. You know how like they sort of do like the kiss chicken and then someone like, hey, what are we, whatever, like that breaks in and stops them from actually kissing. But no, they showed the whole thing and I was like, oh, cool. Dude, high school me would have loved this scene. Like,
well, high school you is the kid standing in the headlights who's just like, kiss her again. Do it. Where it's just like, no brain, only erection.
It's very hurtful, but very true.
Wow, that was the title of my dating profile.
It's no brain, only erection.
I had a thing for Sophia Bush for a long time because of, what was that show with the
One Tree
twins?
Hill.
Yes.
She's married to Chad Michael Murray.
They got married from that show?
Until, hold on, they broke up.
Mikey, you've got a chance.
No, she met a new guy in 2020.
Spruce Randolph.
They got married this year.
Wow.
They're expecting their first sapling shortly.
Anyway, so he comes back to the truck. And so Sophia Bush has to like duck into the back of the truck. And the next line from the girls on the stakeout was actually improvised, but they kept it in the movie. But it's just slut in truck, gotta move, which is horribly mean.
It was ad-libbed?
It was ad-libbed.
Oh my God.
Oh man, girls are so mean.
I mean, but that just shows you at that time, like you would say some crazy offensive shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so as they're driving home, he's like, let's listen to some music. I've got Elvis Costello because he totally got that from his brother.
Of course.
But my favorite is that she's going through all the stuff in his back seat while he can't see. And she finds a bra and she's just like, oh, how dare he? And then turns it over and it says 100% hemp. And she's like, oh shit, this one's mine. Tucks it.
She's like, I've been looking for that one. Yeah, okay.
I'm looking for this one.
Yeah.
Also, 100% hemp, probably be uncomfortable.
It's got to be scratchy, right?
A little scratchy, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they get to the house and he's like, I could walk you to your door, but I'd be tempted to kiss you. And I like you and I want to move slow. But then she goes in for a kiss anyway. She's like, I always take a little risk.
That's my move. I'm like, we shouldn't kiss so soon. And then they always kiss at that point.
Mikey.
Called reverse psychology.
How's that working out for you?
Well, I've kissed a lot of people.
I feel like I heard the tears in Mikey's laugh just then.
The sprinklers come on, so they run up to the front of her house, like the front step. But the camera starts malfunctioning and shocking her because it's electric.
Yeah.
And they kiss again, but then she's like, this is too fast, and goes inside. Meanwhile, Sophia Bush, as she's trying to get out, her skirt gets caught and it ends up like attached to his tire, which is very funny.
Which like could not happen.
Attached to the tire would be tough.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Kate goes inside and this is where her mom is like, hey, I think you should stop doing this.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see you get hurt. And she's just like, fuck you, bitch, you date trash. And she's just like, whoa, hey.
I learned it from watching you, Mom.
Yeah, exactly.
I learned it from eating frosting, Mom.
Breaking up is one thing, but forcing your child to move with you every time is a bit much. There would be some unresolved feelings, I think, at that point.
I'm sure. Here's the thing. I don't doubt that she has unresolved feelings.
Right.
I do think that this is a cruel way to bring it up, and she is being defensive. And even she admits it because she's just like, it's been a really long night. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But then her mom actually has good advice of like, be careful who you're pretending to be because it may make you forget who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, like podcasting.
Good thing you don't listen.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't.
Or really pay attention to like numbers or anything. Like I'll never forget that first meetup where we had like a pretty significant turnout. Mikey was like, what is happening? I should not have brought a date.
I just thought I'd been on a regular Zoom call twice a week.
Anyway, so we cut to another night, a different night. Her friends are over and he's like driving past her house and calling her.
Which this is a creepy move. Like he drives to her house to call her on his cell phone. Aside from it being a huge waste of time, why? If not to do something creepy.
Because you're in high school. I mean, I'll admit it. I drove by a girl's house I liked a couple times in high school.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Because you don't even know it's weird at that point. And then one of your friends is like, that's fucking creepy, dude. And you're like, is it? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, oh, shit.
See, I think this is a teen romance movie thing where he has parked in front and is calling in hopes that he can be like, sneak out with me.
Yeah, okay.
And he's already there.
I've had my sneak out with me moments, but like, you like pre-plan it and you meet somewhere.
No, man. I've picked people up if they snuck out of their house.
I'm not going to put myself at risk because your dad has a shotgun.
Worth it.
Still picking pepper out of my back, but worth it.
He asks her on a date and they go to the same restaurant, but he's like, oh, we're not eating here. We're getting takeout.
Which is insane, Paige. The fact that he was getting takeout just to torture that girl he used to date who works there.
I don't think that's why he did it. I think he's oblivious to her sadness.
He could have gotten takeout and had it delivered
I
to
know.
the
I think he
boat.
always goes to that one place, though.
Same, but there's no reason to make your date come with you to get this is rude. This is mean.
Here's the danger about loving places and then dating someone who works at one of the places you love. And I've done it. Paige is nodding like she's done it.
I've not done it.
It's like dating a coworker. It's like it doesn't
I've
go
done
well
that,
because you're like,
yeah.
you're like, I really want that appetizer, but like we just broke up. Like she's probably working, but I could get to go. I really love that food, but if she could see me, I'll do it anyway. This is pre-Uber Eats, but like,
Yeah.
And you're like, is this spit in my food?
whatever. Right? Like we had sex, so like whatever.
Anyway, this is where we get the call back to the waitress who's just like devastated seeing him come through.
Dude, like openly weeping. When the three girls who are not Brittany Snow come over and they're like, wait, where did they go? She's like crying and pointing out to the bay.
Yeah. He's on a boat.
Yeah.
So they have a date on a boat. I find it to be slightly unremarkable, but
Heard that before.
the narration is basically just like, this was like every date in a movie, but better. And even then, they basically just end up talking, and she's like, hang out and be yourself or whatever.
She actually says something that I think is like sort of poignant for his character. The whole like, you try and like overdo these dates because you're just like afraid of being yourself with someone.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I could sort of see that, but also he's a bad dude. Like, I don't really care. Like, he's just a
Yeah.
bad guy right now. He needs to grow up some.
He's 17.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, everyone makes these mistakes, but like,
But also, like, if you have a yacht, like fucking use it, bro.
oh,
like,
yeah. Like, if you don't think that they had sex because the implication,
Mhm.
She says they didn't.
I know. And I don't think they did really, Paige. I was just joking.
Now, I will say, at this time period, there's only one guy who uses a boat, and like, it's, this is the number one boat. It's Pacey. Pacey takes Joey on his boat for the summer, and that's like the number one use.
I have
of-
never seen Dawson's Creek, but I know he's referencing it.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I've watched through Dawson Creek maybe 4 times in my life.
Why?
It was big at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, and it came on a lot in college, like between
It was
11...
the Ashanti of TV. You
Yeah.
wouldn't understand.
My roommates and I always had it on during daytime. Like we would be coming in and out of classes, and it would always be on.
For us, that was Law and Order in the sorority house. We had SVU on all day. Anyway, so the other girls are following them in the boat. The engine falls out. That like they can't get a signal. They're basically trapped in the boat.
They're effectively stranded in the middle of the bay.
But I do want to bring up something he says that's very close to what Mikey remarked upon, where he's like, I'm really lucky. I'm popular. I'm rich. So it'd be crazy not to make the most of it, right? Which is basically him being like, I have all this shit. I got to use it, right?
Yeah, he's like, hey, I'm super lucky and privileged. I probably should use that to my advantage and everyone else's detriment.
Yeah.
Yes, you totally should.
No, you shouldn't. You should be conscious of that.
Yeah.
He seems conscious of it.
He's not doing anything about it, though.
He is conscious of it, but he only sees it as like a sweet, I was born on third base.
Yeah.
Not like a, how can I help other people because of this?
Yeah.
How can I use this birthright privilege for good?
Yeah. Anyway, we cut to after the date. All the friends are just like, she's in love with him. Oh, no. And she's just like, no, like, it's not that. And they reveal a video that they took in the locker room. So they snuck into the air vent of the locker room and videotaped him talking about the away game, where he basically was bragging that he was going to have sex with her at the away game by comparing her to a bottle of wine and saying that he wants to uncork her and pork her, which is gross.
It's also gross that she went in there to videotape underage boys.
I mean, she is also underage, but this is not with their consent.
I don't know if Porky's is a romantic comedy.
It's not.
It's not.
coming of age for sure.
Yeah.
But they definitely start with the going into the air vents of the locker room.
Yes. Anyway, so she is in chemistry and she's chatting it up with his brother, and his brother is just like, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
Like, bye.
Because he was into her and now she's more or less dating his brother. I mean, she is.
Yeah.
So they show her the video of like cork her and pork her, and or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, he's gonna fucking die. So they go to the away game with lingerie and a plan. So she starts a video chat and she's like, I left a gift under your bed. I want you to come to my window across this like ledge wearing this thing because I really like it. I think it's hot and sexy.
So now I have a story.
I love everything about how this is starting.
Sophomore year of college.
Oh my God, I'm so excited, Paige.
My roommate says, it's my girlfriend's birthday.
Okay.
This is what I got her.
Oh,
no.
I know this story.
Bikini briefs for himself.
Did she ask for that?
No. It was the dumbest, funniest shit I have ever seen in my life.
You saw him try them on?
Oh, yeah. And then he's like, I'm going over there. And we're like, and there's 3 guys. It was 4 guys of us in this apartment. We had like a 4-bedroom apartment. We're just like, this is your birthday gift for her. Like, this is your plan.
He's like, yeah, it's my dick in a box. What?
Yeah. And I'm just like,
It's great.
We're like, okay. So then like, obviously didn't go well. I mean, they hooked up, but like,
Can I tell you that would be such an immediate turn off for me?
yes, it's so stupid.
It's why I don't love Thunder Down Under. It's cool until the jeans come off, and then I'm not interested.
So then he had to. They only came in like a 6-pack. So like the rest of the year,
He went to Amazon and bought bikini briefs in bulk.
yeah. So it'd be like the roommates would be like, it'd be like drinking games, and it'd be like dare, and it's like,
Put on one of Reggie's bikini briefs.
yeah, go get the blue briefs, and put it on, and go running across the
I love this.
apartment.
Were they thongs or bikini cap?
They were like bikini cut, but like really like high
High-waisted.
cut. Yeah. They might as well be thongs. If you're gonna jog in them, they quickly become thongs.
Yeah, for sure.
Why
for
would
sure.
you jog in them?
Because we dared you to run through the tennis courts in them.
I got you.
You
Yeah.
talking about the apartment
Yeah.
where we owned a 3-story beer pong? It's like,
Yeah,
because we were on the 3rd story. Like, you had to get it all the way to the ground.
that's awesome. Anyway, she starts a video chat, talks him into wearing the thong, and he's like, all right, 3 doors down? She's like, 3 doors down.
Like the band.
3 doors down to lay in a bed and see a teacher. because it turns out that it's not her room. It is a teacher's room.
Right.
And they immediately like drag him out into the hallway. It's like a whole thing. There's flip phone photos.
They are the most high def flip phone photos
Yes.
I've ever seen in my life.
It's like an iPhone photo on a flip phone.
Yeah. I do love that Brittany Snow's character is like, oh, sorry, I guess it was 4, not 3 doors down. Like,
Yeah.
she like covers for herself, so he is like still like in love with her, sort of, or like
I guess.
likes her, you know,
But he shows up the next day wearing a thong.
proudly.
Yeah, proudly. He's like, they give you swing, and he does this like trampoline double flip dunk.
Oh, but you
Like,
don't
it's
see the
madness.
trampoline. It is like
No.
magical realism madness.
Which for the rest of the movie is that way too.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really
This is
funny.
when I realized that like Brittany Snow was in a car accident. This is like a Jacob's Ladder situation. Like, none of this happened, you know?
So he catches up. He like, gets all, the team is all on board. They all end up wearing thongs. He
Yeah.
catches up with her at school and he's like, hey, no worries. I kind of spun it. Like, we're going to do a joke about it at my birthday team. And he's like, I'm sorry about what you heard me say. It was locker room talk. It didn't mean anything, which by the way, it does mean something when
Yeah.
you talk badly about women when women are not around. Just saying. It means you maybe are not great.
Yeah, it means you're terrible.
But he gives her his watch and is like, will you be my girlfriend?
Yeah, is that a thing? When he like, did guys give their whole watch to somebody?
No, because they wouldn't typically fit.
I mean, I've heard of like the class ring thing, although that seems like
Class
it's
rings,
class
yeah.
ring and like letter jackets to me seems more old school, but like a whole watch?
People would wear their significant other's letter jackets when I was in high school. That was normal.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing when I was in there.
Yeah. And then when I was in college, because I was in the Greek system, they had pins. Like there were sweetheart pins. So you could like order a pin to give to somebody.
Now that is old school right there.
Super old school.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool though. I like classy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, they look very cool.
I'm not knocking any of it, but like I didn't know that the watch thing was a thing, and apparently it's not.
I don't think it is. Yeah,
Okay.
I've never seen
No,
that happen.
I think it was he gave someone something to somebody.
I also think the gesture of him asking her to be his girlfriend, like openly in public in front of the school, is like
Yeah.
the bigger part of that gesture in my mind.
Yeah. So she basically tells the girls what happened, and they're like, no, like we made you. Like this is not okay.
Yeah, you can't date him. And she's
You
like,
can't
but like,
date him.
I sort of want to date him. And they're like, well, you're out of our club. I mean, that's sort of the vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as she's walking down the hallway, she's like, why can't love just be like a retro pop song? Like this is complicated. It's not simple.
Yeah.
But as she walks past his brother, he notices the girls that she's with and he's like, they're not friends. They hate each other and they don't know you from Adam. So what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, like what has brought these 4 women from like the opposite sides of the school together, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, he thinks that you're the first honest relationship he's had and he's acting accordingly. And like, yeah, he's a dick, but like, you're no better because you are doing the same. You are lying in the same way.
I think that this is that scene I was talking about before, and I think it is important
Yeah.
for him to say, like, I get that my brother's doing this, and that is not good, but you are doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's not trying to say that his brother is not, like, his brother's not perfect, and he knows that. I like that he acknowledges that.
He doesn't absolve his brother,
Yes.
but is like, this is exactly the behavior.
Yes.
Then she goes home and her mom is like, look, I know that my dating life affects you, but I would never plan to hurt somebody. And at this point, Kate is like, I know. And I got caught up in this and I don't like it. And
Yeah.
I felt invisible for so long. It felt good to be noticed. And her mom was like, you chose being invisible.
Yeah.
Because you thought it was easier. You chose not to connect with people. And people are noticing you now, but it's not for who you are. And maybe if you showed them who you really are, they would. Although we don't get enough time in the movie to see any of who she really is or anything
She
like that.
clapped or whatever. You're fine.
We don't, because there's only 14 minutes left in the movie at this point.
Yeah.
And we're like T-minus 3 minutes until she just starts throwing cake and pretends people don't listen.
She shows up to his birthday party, which at his birthday, 2 bikini-clad women are already on stage with him.
They came out of the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy's definitely like John Tucker is definitely like Gatsby, of high school.
I guess. I don't remember seeing them come out of the cake, and the cake is not open when we see it again, but that could also just be them fucking up and not having the cake open when we see it again.
I remember the bikini girls. I don't remember if they came out of the cake or not, but
Yeah, I don't remember seeing them come out of the
It's
cake. I know they're on the
definitely
stage,
odd
though.
for a high schooler.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially for somebody who's like, I'm in love with this girl. And it's like, you are draped in bikini girl.
I know, right?
But so she shows up and he calls her up on stage.
Can I just say this really quick?
Yeah.
He calls her up on stage and is like, hey, say something about me on my birthday. Like,
Yes.
that is weirdly pressuring. And also, like, I get that it's your birthday and this is your autobiography, sir, but like, you're making this
It's
a
all
lot
about you for some reason.
Who is this Gatsby?
Anyway, they play the video that they have been making this whole time.
Okay, I haven't even talked about this. She like records the mean statement
Yeah.
like 4 times.
Yes.
None of the takes are mean, and none of what she says is actually mean.
Yeah, none of them are good. Yeah, it's not good.
The last one, they're like, holy shit, girl, that's so cruel. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah. Literally, she gives 4 of the exact same take. And the last time
Yes.
they're like, wow, that last one was amazing. And you're like, I'm pretty sure we saw the same thing 4 times.
she's like, John Tucker, you're not a good guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, fucking sick burn, girl.
oh,
John
you
Tucker,
nailed
you're
it.
mean. Yeah. Anyway, so they play the video and he's like, huh? And she's like, I gotta come clean. I worked with these girls to break your heart so you knew what it felt like. And he's like, well, now I do. And literally the crowd refuses to like indict his behavior. where
No,
he's
they're like, yeah, but you're awesome. And he's like, no, maybe like lying to sleep with like the hot girls is bad. And they're like, nah, it's fucking dope, bro. And he's like, it sorta is though. And you're like, wait, what? And then they all
Yeah.
start singing We're All in This Together and the movie's over.
And that's the 90s.
well, everyone gets doused with beer. They all throw cake at each other. And then we cut to like the next day. Although this was another point in the movie where I was like, I need this soundtrack because there's a great cover of Time After Time.
Oh, yeah, that was a really cool cover. Yeah.
So she says hi to him the next day or at least a couple days later or whatever.
Yeah, the jump to after the cake fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to start telling the truth. I mean it. And she's like, that's great. So we cut to him telling the truth, which is literally him just being like, so I want to fuck both of you. And the girls are like, no.
They don't seem super interested, but they seem
They're
like they might be
thinking about
considering it. Yeah, Mikey. Yeah.
Right. But she runs into his brother and his brother is like, I want you to be my lab partner again because you're smarter than me. Like,
He says you're perfect.
yeah.
She's like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, man, you're perfect.
Then why don't you take me on your fucking family's boat?
And they don't kiss, although they definitely kind of should be.
I would feel weird about including a kiss here, but only because she's been dating his brother the entire movie.
They should have cut ahead like a month or something.
Or
Yeah.
like a year, like they are graduating, right? Like they're in the
Yeah,
same
something
class
like
or
that.
whatever.
Anyway, we do get a final shot where it's like, we learned our lesson. If you mess with a John Tucker, be prepared for the consequences. And a very attractive teacher drops a whole bunch of papers and a whole
Oh
bunch
my
of guys
God.
bend over to help her and they all are wearing thongs.
It's not a bunch of guys, it's a bunch of like teachers. It's a bunch of like
Teachers.
Yeah.
staff, which is
Yep.
another, I think, check in the column of, is this a Jacob's Ladder situation? And did Brittany Snow die in this movie? And I think the answer is yes to that.
Yes.
And that's the
the
movie. So having seen the movie and we talked about the movie, what did you guys think about John Tucker Must Die?
That's okay.
It's fun. I think Mean Girls is better.
I think Mean Girls is better as well, although it's been a long time since I've seen it.
I think for me, I'd be super into a murdery version of this.
Like a horror movie version of
Like
this?
a horror
Yeah.
movie version of this. But I did have fun watching this today. I might revisit it. I think it's fun, but yeah.
So Paige, do you have some fun facts for us?
Yes.
Well, here it is with your fun facts.
Thongy
Tucker, fun facts.
So let's start out with a thong. The idea of John Tucker wearing a thong was not in the script. Originally in the script, they talk him into shaving his head.
Oh.
Which, first of all, though, that guy could definitely rock a shaved head.
Yeah, he rocked the thong. Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
You had to shave that head.
The director thought him wearing a thong was funnier, so they actually added it in during shooting.
Okay.
And extras reportedly kept taking pictures of him in the thong on their phones, which is how they got the idea to add that phone picture in later.
Nice. Okay, cool.
They shot most of this during the school year at an actual high school.
Wow. Okay.
So they actually had to ask students for permission to use their lockers occasionally because they were like real lockers. But also, if you will recall, and this might be because I'm sure this was probably a California high school. and this was a thing when I went to high school, flip-flops, super popular. So everyone was wearing flip-flops.
I had flip-flops too.
The flip-flops in the hallway were so loud that they had to make students change into tennis shoes. Because in the back of scenes, they would just hear like...
No, I remember that. I
Yeah.
wore flip-flops a lot back then.
I got to the point where I could like kick them at people that were ridiculous distances away from me.
I'm pretty accurate at kicking flip-flops at people, except one time I did it to my sister in a movie theater in the hallway. Like we were coming out of the theater. And it hit her in the back of the head. And then she picked up the flip-flop and then just walked over to the 3D glasses return and dropped the flip-flop in. So I suddenly just had one shoe.
Brutal.
And I laughed so hard. I was on the floor. It was the funniest shit I'd ever seen. I had to like have someone help me to get my shoe out. It was so funny to me.
That's way better than my story.
Absolutely worth it.
Love it.
So in the script, there was no specific mascot for the school. So they just took the one for the school where they filmed, which happened to be the Kodiaks.
Nice.
There you go.
Okay, cool.
During filming, Ashanti had multiple concerts she had to perform. So she would like film for a few days, go to a concert, and then come back.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Sophia Bush was also still on One Tree Hill. So she would film a couple days and then go film One Tree Hill and then come back.
Wild.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Every 3-pointer shot that Jesse Metcalfe, who plays John Tucker, every shot he makes is real. No camera, editorial, or digital changes were used. He actually made all those 3-pointers.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He's good at sports ball. Let him be good. It's fine.
Yeah, there you go. The director, a woman named Betty Thomas, had her dogs on set the entire time because she loved them, but they had to be cut out of several scenes because they got in the shot.
Okay, you need to wrangle them dogs if they're getting in your shot, ma'am.
Well, she also referred to all the actors by their characters' names since, according to her quote, she couldn't remember their real names and she wanted to think of them as their character. And so whenever she forgot their characters' names, she would refer to them as person.
Okay.
Wild.
That's very inclusive. It's a very inclusive word for 2006.
Yeah, absolutely.
People are people. Mm-hmm.
In the script, the AV room, as part of the learning center where they concoct their plans, is referred to in, like, whenever you write a script, you have your scene heading, where it takes place, what time of day, and then your action, your lines. In the scene headings, it's always identified as the war room, which I think is kind of fun.
Yeah.
At one point, the director told the cast that this movie was, quote, first wives club for teenagers, which honestly kind of is, but also we need to watch First Wives Club.
That's also a classic.
Yeah, I can see that description of it. Sure.
And Sophia Bush apparently decided that her character was the Goldie Hawn of the group, which honestly, kind of. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
So most of the movie was filmed on set at school, but they had to build some sets, including Kate's bedroom. So they just built it in the gym of the high school.
That's where they shot Home Alone. They literally shot
Yeah.
Home Alone in the gym of a high school. Yeah.
Yep. And at one point, the walls fell over while they were filming. In Kate's house, there are actual pictures of Brittany Snow as a child. They just put her actual family photos up.
Awesome.
I think it's pretty funny. She was 20 when the film was released. Sophia Bush, however, while playing a high school student in this movie, 4 years prior to this movie, she played a college student in Van Wilder. So she was very much not a college student at this point.
Yeah.
But this is one of the first films to be heavily promoted to female teenagers, specifically with targeted advertising on MySpace. The studio believed that the campaign was successful because their opening weekend audience was 75% female and 68% under 25. And those are your fun facts.
Yeah, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for John Tucker Must Die?
I think this is like $3 million.
Mikey, do you have a guess?
10 million?
Mikey's closer. It was $18 million.
18. Damn.
Yeah, $18 million. It's not a cheap movie, right?
Yeah.
But if you adjust for inflation, that's roughly $26.5 million today.
This does not look great for that amount of money.
No,
There's
it does
not that
not.
much on screen for it. Yeah.
Right. I will remind you that Invisible Man was made for $7 million.
Yeah.
I mean, $7 million, that would probably be like $9 million today, but still.
Yeah.
This movie premiered on July 28th, 2006. It was third in the theater that weekend. It was beat by Miami Vice. Number 2 was The Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. Of course, number 3 was John Tucker Must Die. Number 4 was Monster House. And number 5 was The Ant Bully. What do you think John Tucker Must Die made in its opening weekend? And again, it was third that weekend.
Third that weekend, I'm going to say it made 8.
Okay. What do you think, Mikey?
15.
Mikey, you're way closer. It was $14.2 million. So
Okay.
it did do pretty well in its opening weekend. I mean, not quite the budget back that was $18 million, but it did pretty well in its opening weekend. It was then in theaters for a total of 14 weeks. So what do you think it brought in domestically in the box office?
14 weeks?
Yeah, 14 weeks. Although I'll say this, its first week, it was third. It was never in the top 5 again in subsequent weeks.
I'm going to say 65.
Okay.
I'm going to say 45.
Paige, you're closer. It was $41 million, just barely over it. It went on to make another $27.8 million internationally for a worldwide total of $68.8 million just at the box office. And if you adjust that for inflation, that's just over $100 million. It's $101.6 million. But it also made $32.8 million in the DVD and Blu-ray sales market, because this is like before streaming was prevalent. And if you adjust that for inflation, that's like $48 million. This movie made money. It made a lot of money. It did very well.
Yeah.
But that is your box office. So
Hooray.
This week, Paige, you made us watch John Tucker Must Die. Mikey, it's your week next week. What are you going to make us watch? And it better not contain an angel.
Well, to continue the trend of non-human angels,
Okay.
I picked The Adjustment Bureau.
Oh, okay, sweet. I actually like Adjustment Bureau from what I
do
remember
too.
of it.
I really like it.
I have never seen it, and every time it comes up, I'm like, a romance?
Yeah, cool. So your homework for next week is to figure out what the hell's going on in that movie, The Adjustment Bureau, and then check back for that episode.
And that'll be my last angel pick, I think.
You think? Do we want to do Are They Still Together?
They're definitely not together. They're in high school.
I mean, well, and also they don't end the movie together, so I
Yeah.
feel like it's a little weird.
Also, they
Like,
don't kiss, so I don't even know if they get together.
right.
I would like to think that they get together. I don't think they stay together.
I honestly would love to cast both those people now. You know, because that dude is now big from you, and she was just an ex. Like, she's a working actress. Like, I want to cast like they both go back to their 10-year high school reunion and they fall in love.
Wait. No, I got it. No, I got to get it. People are trying to kill John Tucker, and they fall in love trying to save him, and it's John Tucker Must Live.
Genius!
And only chemistry can solve it.
I got the first 30 pages right here.
Brilliant.
So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
Oh,
I mean, we've only done 130 of these. Why would you remember? But while you're looking one up, let me tell them how they can have their review read on the podcast. And that is to leave us a 5-star text review, and we'll have Mikey read it for you. So, Mikey, whose review are you going to read this week?
I'll read this one.
Okay.
The title is funny. So how many stalkers does Mikey have?
Okay. Who is it by? Is that the title?
Jack's mommy.
Wow. Okay. So Jack's mommy wants to know how many stalkers Mikey has?
Yep.
All right. Well, what else does Jack's mommy have to say?
Okay. So longtime horror virgin follower and Patreon to that.
Oh, thank you.
And cult podcast.
Oh, nice. Thank
Ran
you.
out of episodes, and I decided I'd give Romancing the Pod a go. I'm 100% with Paige. I have never liked rom-coms because I cannot put myself in their shoes and realistic, because she's never been to space, you see.
Yeah, I've never been to space. And
That's
also,
not what it says,
isn't
though,
it
right?
weird that these movies are kind of like all about them? Like,
Yeah, it's like they wrote about themselves. Like her journal is like really self-centered.
Yeah, and
And I think they can be trash. However, I've listened for quite some time, and now listening to Mikey on the pod, I'm kind of in love.
Hey.
But like laughing emoji next to it, so I think it's sarcastic, but also like, why laugh at our love? You know, it's. You know.
stop. No, Mikey, don't.
After a few episodes, I started to ask. Oh my god.
This is my favorite when Mikey's like, he never reads reviews beforehand, and then he goes and reads them and is like, coffee lover?
After a few episodes, I started to ask myself, how much fan mail is Mikey getting over his kind of heart and his loving romantic side?
And his vitamin water.
Oh, right now. You guys are great. Mikey, I adore you, and I hope you find someone who appreciates your hopeless romantic side. Thanks again for good times, Paige. You are amazing and inspiring me every day being a larger woman.
Thank you.
Todd,
Yes?
you are off the hook. Don't ever change. Laters, baby.
I'm off the hook? What did I ever do to you, Jax, mommy? I'm off the hook. What does that even mean?
I don't know. She threw you at the end. There's like a pity sentence.
I mean, at least she included me enough to forgive me for some slight I have done her, apparently.
5 stars.
Well, Jax, mommy, thank you so much, I guess, for that 5-star review. And if you want to Mikey read your 5-star review, leave us a 5-star review. So, yeah, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on. But Paige gets around, and she is on 2 other podcasts, Black Card Rehab and Cult Podcast. So guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show
Yes.
on Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show SHO like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok, except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at mrandolph24, and I am at Todd J Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
I'm off the hook.
To hook pletion.
This is a silly episode. I had fun.
Yeah, me too.
Bye! John Tucker Must Live, nerds.
Where's the sequel?
Come with me if you want John Tucker to live.